So Tadashi, so you put the
Right.
the chicken balls in.
Chicken balls in, it's
Okay.
got water,
Right.
kombu, put a little salt in here,
Perfect.
and chopped garlic, give a little more extra flavor to it.
And you don't see a lot of garlic in Japanese cooking.
No, not really, but this is the recipe we got it from
And
the
we were
Sumo
in a
guy,
place
so,
in Japan that's really close to Korea and China. It's closer to Seoul than it is to Tokyo, for example. And there's a real influence of Korea, China, Southeast Asia, and this part of Japan, and people eat garlic a lot more. So now what we were talking about before is that Tadashi's dealing with these foundation ingredients.
Right.
Cabbage, tofu, mushrooms, a lot of mushrooms. That's another foundation ingredient I didn't talk about.
Some stem off.
Yeah, so with shiitake, you want to
Shiitake
take the
mushroom.
stem off. And you're taking off why, Tadashi?
Well, stem
Kinda
is
hard.
kind of hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't really eat it. It gets a good dashi though.
Right,
Yeah,
people
so
can make
if
a
you can
stock
save
out
the
of it,
stem, and if you want to make a soup, you
like a
can
vegetarian stock.
little. I slice a little diagonal because the middle of the shiitake is really thick. So if you cut this way, it gets evenly the thickness, so it cooks evenly too.
And you have more surface area, so
Right.
also like flavors coming in. So notice what Tadashi's doing. Okay, so Tadashi, what's that?
This is enoki mushroom.
Right.
It's like this. It's
Yeah.
cultivated in California
Yeah.
nowadays. It's
But
this
so we're using a bunch of cultivated Japanese mushrooms that each have like beautiful flavor. So here we're using shiitake, enoki. This is the negi, and you use the white part of a negi.
only white part.
Right. And again, Tadashi, you're cutting on an angle for the same idea of making even pieces and also having surface area where where it can do an exchange on that broth with flavor. And if you guys, yes, sir.
You're not really stirring any ingredients?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
That's a great question. You don't have to stir. And it's, in fact, what you do, like, and I was just going to say, like, you can, this is just water. And if you see before Tadashi covers it, he's just kind of organizing the hot pot in like separate neat bunches. I wish we had a mirror here, but if you guys want to stand, you can take a quick look. And then once he covers, Tadashi covers it, it just cooks. You know, these dishes don't have to stir. Because
The heat circulates.
yeah, the heat circulates,
Yeah.
especially in these
The
kind of,
flavor does too.
yeah. So it's real simple. And then so Tadashi put like mushrooms together, tofu. So it actually starts to look nice now. And then you're covering it.
Right.
Bring it up to a boil. Great. Yes, ma'am.
So how many people would a hot pot of that size?
That's
I
a.
can eat all myself.
Are you talking about a normal Tadashi or a normal person? No. That's exactly, Susan. And that's the great point. And let me answer the question this way. I think that, you know, I'm talking about American cooking, right? We're used to cooking something in the kitchen, bringing it out and eating it. And that's one way to cook a hot pot. Like, these proportions are for 4 people. Another way to eat a hot pot, and especially if you're eating with family and friends and you got time, is to do something like what we do here, which is array a bunch of ingredients. So don't sweat the quantity of ingredients. Just like with a hot pot like this, you have like a pitcher of water, you have a bunch of ingredients, and you start making a hot pot. People eat. Okay, they eat a little bit, make some more chicken balls, add some more, mushrooms, and just keep eating until you basically explode. And then have rice or something so you really explode at the end. But we'll get to the ending of hot pots. But yeah, they're wonderful dinners that you can kind of just, like, I have this, like, on my blog, I took a picture of this hot pot dinner that I had last week just to kind of as an example. And you see that it's just like a table covered with food. Because that's what we did. We sat around because it was kind of like a celebration. And we added more food, ate a little bit, so you can kind of get into that whole groove. Invite family and friends. Yes?
What do you do with the broth in it?
That's a really good question.
That's a good question.
Don't throw it out, or I'll come after you. Because the broth, if you think about the broth, let's say if you have a great hot pot and you've been cooking hot pot for the last 3 hours, the broth is like worth $1 million. It has all this flavor in it. So we're going to show you later that there's something called shime, which is the finish. And you know, Japanese culture and other North Asian cultures where, you know, rice or noodles are part of a meal. And at the shime is where you have your starch. And you can make incredible rice with that broth that's almost like a risotto or a rice porridge. That's one thing. Or you can cook noodles in it. And we're going to show you how to do that, and we're going to taste it later. So shime is a great way to eat the broth.
Okay, so I start to add a little chicken breast. It cooks very fast, so you just put it at the end.
Right.
Maybe cook.
So you see what Tadashi did is he first cooked the things that take time to cook through and bring to a boil. You know, tofu, the chicken balls. Now these slices of, when we were talking, Tadashi sliced up this chicken breast, and you can slice it as thin or thick as you like. You know, it don't, like, I guess the overriding message about hot pot cooking is not to sweat it, you know, and to just like do what you're, you know, what you're comfortable doing. But here, you see you adding chicken, and you're cooking it up. So what's great about this hot pot, and we talk about, let's say, like meta kind of idea of Japanese cooking, is that think about how simple this is. This is just ingredients and water and some kombu and salt. And if you think, like, you know, we all know what MSG is, monosodium glutamate. That's like kind of a supercharged glutamate and salt. This is a natural kombu glutamate and salt, but that combination also creates a lot of taste. So we already have flavor in this pot, and now we're going to eat it, and we're going to talk about how we're going to eat it in a second. That'll actually add more layers of flavor. But it's super simple. So you're just cooking everything through.
Yeah.
And it looks beautiful.
It's coming.
Yeah, man. I'm getting hungry. We're all going to taste this in a second. Yes, sir.
So you would never serve this with the soup in one dish?
You could. The soup's good. Like, okay, let's talk about how we eat this, Tadashi.
I eat from here like this.
I've witnessed it. It's true. That's how Tadashi eats. Although, you know, when your daughters are on the table, you don't want to get your hands in their way, or else you're finished. But
Nobody.
yeah, I mean, with these water-based hot pots, you can have a dipping sauce. And we're going to use a great combination of dipping sauce, which has a lot of flavor, which is ponzu and yuzu kosho. Tadashi, why don't you explain what ponzu and yuzu kosho are?
Ponzu is a citrus soy sauce. Basically only citrus juice and soy sauce mixture, but it could be with dashi, it could be with sake, it could be with sugar. We use dashi here.
And we'll talk about dashi in the next hot pot. Right, it's kind of the fundamental stock of Japanese cooking.
Ponzu,
I do too, actually. Because you see, so with this dish, there are a couple of ways you can eat it. Like you'll be served a bowl. So you can take ingredients from here, dip it in the ponzu, and eat it. And the other thing that we have is something called yuzu kosho. And yuzu kosho is the rind of yuzu citrus. And you have a yuzu citrus here somewhere, right, Tadashi?
Oh, yuzu, I found it in
oh, yeah.
market
Great.
today.
So this is what yuzu looks like. And you don't eat the flesh, you just use the rind. That's the flavor. So yuzu kosho, which is this, is salt, chilies, and yuzu citrus. And it's also a hallmark of from Kyushu, from like Fukuoka area, the southern part of Japan.
That's the one you have it in a little.
Right, you'll see like you have a little.
On the
right.
corner,
Yeah.
Ponzu.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's got heat and smell it. It's got
very spicy.
It's really spicy, but it's got incredible aroma, right? And so you can add a little dab of that in your ponzu, and you have this kind of wonderful dipping sauce immediately, just with those two ingredients, which are full of flavor. Yes, sir. Okay, Tadashi's going to start getting stuff going that we can eat. And the other thing is, I just want to answer one thing. What this gentleman asked is, what you could do is once you have like a bowl with a little ponzu and yuzu kosho, then you can pour some broth in there from here, and you have an incredible like thing to drink, to taste.